Some of the smartest students still fail IELTS. Engineers, doctors, master's students. They're really, really smart, but they don't get their target band score. And it's not because their English is bad. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 biggest mistakes smart students make and how to fix them. And by the way, if you are preparing for IELTS and you want to know exactly how to get a band 7 or higher in all 4 parts and learn from a real IELTS examiner, make sure you check out our complete IELTS preparation course. The link is down below in the description. All right, let's get started, guys. The first mistake is only studying English instead of studying IELTS. Now, obviously, you need to have good English to get a high score in the IELTS test. At the end of the day, the IELTS test is a test of your English. It's a test of your speaking skills, your listening skills, your writing skills, and your reading skills. So you need to have good English. But people just think, better English automatically means a higher band score. Well, that's not necessarily true. Even native English speakers might not get a band 9 if they don't know what to do in the IELTS test to score high, or they don't show the examiner that they have good English. Now, this is sometimes true that if you have really good English, you will get a high score, but it's not enough. You need to learn some other things too. So what do you need to learn? What should you do instead of just learning English? Well, you should learn how to score high in each part. Now, what I mean by that is there are obviously 4 parts in the IELTS test, and each part of the test has different things you need to do. So to score high, there are certain things you need to do and certain things that you should not do. So take, for example, grammar. If you want a band 7 in grammar, you need to use a variety of complex structures. As you can see on the screen right now, it's in the yellow highlight. Now, take, for example, what I said before about native speakers. Some native speakers, and I know this because I'm an IELTS examiner and I've seen this, some native speakers come into the speaking test and they just use very basic, short, simple sentences. And they think that this will get them a high score just because they're a native speaker. Well, no, that's not true, okay? You need to do certain things to score high. If you don't do them, well, you're not going to score high. And if you do want to learn everything you need to know to get a band 7 or even higher, make sure you check out our preparation course. Like I said, the link is in the description below. Now, the next thing you need to know is how to answer all question types. Each question type requires a different strategy. Each question type requires you to do different things. And if you don't know how to answer each question type, you're probably not going to get the highest band score possible. So for example, let's pretend you get this question here in your real IELTS writing task 1. Well, if you don't know how to answer this question, well, how are you going to score high? It doesn't matter if you have the best English in the world. Well, you might not score high because you don't know what to do. Now let's pretend you get this in IELTS writing task 1. Well, this is a map question. Maybe you know how to do the charts question or a mixed question like you can see on the screen now. But what if you get a map question? What if you don't know how to do this? What are you going to do in the real test? Well, that's why you need to know exactly how to score high for every single part. Because let's pretend that you know how to score high for 80% of the questions you might get. Well, what if you get something like this and you don't know how to score high? It's going to be a problem, right? The next thing you need to know or think about is how to manage your time properly. I always talk to my students about this. You need to do things quickly, with speed. That's because you don't have a lot of time in the real IELTS test. Take, for example, reading. You've got 60 minutes to answer 40 questions. So you need to use your time well so you can answer every question. Just pretend that you are a fantastic reader, but you can only do 20 of the questions. Well, you're going to get 20 questions correct and 20 questions incorrect because you haven't finished them. Okay, so time management is really, really, really important for all of the 4 skills. Another example is writing task 1 and writing task 2. In task 1, you should spend about 20 minutes on this task because it's worth 33% of your overall band score. However, for writing task 2, you should spend a longer amount of time, approximately 40 minutes, because it's worth 66% of your writing band score. Now, in my experience, I've seen a lot of students, they spend 30 minutes or 40 minutes on task 1, and then they can't finish task 2. And this does not get them the maximum score possible because remember, task 2 is worth 66%. Task 1 is only worth 33%. And the next thing you need to think about is common mistakes that lower your score. There are certain things that you might be doing that could be lowering your score and you don't even know it. So, for example, a lot of students don't know that if you have something like this, if you write something like this, this could be reducing your band score using words like firstly, for example, moreover. And if you don't know that, and if you don't know how to fix it, well, you could be losing marks and you don't even know it. And finally, you need to know what a band 7 plus answer really looks like. There's a lot of stuff online about band 9 answers, but I can tell you as an IELTS examiner and as someone who knows IELTS examiner trainers, so the people who train examiners, well, a lot of the answers you see online, speaking and writing, are not band 9. Okay, they're not band 9. To get a band 9, it is not easy, even for a native speaker. So just be careful of what you see online. It's not always correct. So yeah, make sure you know what a real band 7 answer looks like. Then you will know how to write one yourself or how to speak like a band 7 candidate yourself. All right, let's move on to the next mistake, which is overthinking answers. A lot of smart people, when they get a question, they think about it really deeply, they analyze it really deeply, and that causes them to be paralyzed, to not be able to answer because they've got so many ideas and they don't know which one to focus on. But that is not the right thing to do. Your idea doesn't have to be unique. It doesn't have to be special. You just need to be able to explain yourself with good English. Now, let's pretend you get a question like this for writing task 2. Some people think that students should wear school uniforms, while others believe they should be free to wear what they want. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Well, a lot of smart students will think of many, many different ideas and they will analyze everything and they'll think very deeply about their ideas before they start writing. Well, this is an issue because you don't have a lot of time. And the second thing is, you don't need to have a very special or very unique idea. The important thing is you need to have an idea and you need to be able to explain it in very nice English with very good English. That's all it's about. That's what the IELTS test is about. It's not about who has the most unique and special idea. Okay, that's not important. The important thing is you can explain yourself and you can use good English. Let's pretend you get a question like this for speaking. How should governments tackle the drug problem? And you think of all of these ideas: stricter punishments, more laws, employ more police, education, more money. Well, it doesn't matter which idea you focus on, okay? You don't need to choose the most special, the most unique idea. You just need to show the examiner you can explain yourself and you can use good English. So just remember, IELTS does not test the uniqueness of ideas. It does not test how special or how unique your idea is. No. The important thing is you need to use good grammar, good vocabulary, good pronunciation, good grammar, etc. Um, and when you're trying to score high, just think about the band descriptors. So if you want a band 7 for, um, let's take grammar as an example, well, you need to use a variety of complex sentences. It doesn't say anything about how unique or how smart your ideas sound. Now let's move on to the next mistake, which is trying to sound smart in writing and speaking. A lot of students think they need to use big vocabulary, complex grammar, fancy sentences, amazing idioms all the time to score high, but that is not true. And a lot of the time, if you use vocabulary and grammar like this, or you try to use English like this, it can actually cause you to make a lot of mistakes, reducing your band score. So just be careful. Now, let me show you a writing paragraph and have a quick read and just think about what the problem is. Just quickly pause the video and unpause when you're ready to go. Well, the issue here is it just looks like the writer has tried to be too fancy and to use too many high-level, unnatural words, and it's made the writing quite unnatural and a bit hard to follow. So, yeah, being too smart or complex can lead to unnatural English. And if your English is unnatural, if it doesn't sound very normal, if it's hard to understand, that may result in you getting a lower band score. It can also lead to grammar mistakes. So if you're trying to write these amazing, long, complex sentences, it might cause you to have a lot of grammar mistakes, and that could stop you getting a band 7 in grammar, because for a band 7, you need to frequently produce error-free sentences. But if you're having a lot of mistakes, well, you're probably not going to satisfy that requirement. Another thing that might occur is vocabulary inaccuracies. That just means you use vocabulary incorrectly or wrong. Well, if that happens, that could also limit how high you can score for your vocabulary. And the last thing that might happen is you may get a lower coherence score. And what that means is your writing or even your speaking might be hard to follow and hard to listen to. So, what should you do instead? Well, you should try to do these things. You should try to be clear instead of smart. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't use some less common vocabulary and complex sentences. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you should use or make your writing or speaking very clear and easy to understand. And you should use some natural vocabulary, natural grammar, instead of being very complex with lots of unnatural English. A common thing I see with students is they try and use a lot of idioms. And idioms are great. They're fantastic. They're very natural. However, if you use an idiom every single sentence, well, this is going to be it could be a problem because it just doesn't sound natural. So let me show you a quick example of what I mean. Have a look at this paragraph on the left. Just quickly pause the video and have a quick read. So if you read that, you might see that it's a bit maybe unnatural. You know, the sentences are quite long. There's very, very high level academic vocabulary that most people would never use. Take, for example, remunerative occupations, sophisticated facilities. Okay, it just doesn't sound very natural. It doesn't sound like something you would hear in everyday speech. Now, just pause the video and have a look at this natural example. Well, if you had a look at that, you would see it's much easier to follow. However, we still have used higher level vocabulary and some complex sentences. So look at this second sentence here. People have access to, okay, very nice word, access, rewarding. And then we've got a comma and we've got which. So we're using a complex sentence. Okay, so just try and be natural where you can rather than unnatural, and you can still get a high band score. Okay, you don't have to be unnatural and weird and really, really complex to score a band 7. All right, let's move on to the fourth mistake now, which is ignoring timing. I think some smart people are perfectionists and they want every answer to be perfect. But unfortunately, in IELTS, if you don't finish things and you don't answer everything correctly, well, you're not going to get the highest band score possible. That means you need to think about time management. Now, let me give you some examples of what I mean. Think about writing task 1 and 2. We talked about this at the start of the video. Task 1, 20 minutes, 33% of your band score for writing. Task 2, 40 minutes. Okay, that's 66% of your writing band score. Reading, there's 3 passages. So you need to be able to finish all 3 passages. If you just finish 2, well, you will have only answered 27 questions, leaving 13 questions unanswered. Okay, so you need to know how to manage your time there. Listening is also something that requires time management because the answers come very, very quickly, and you have certain parts in the listening test where you can do certain things, where you can check your answers, where you can read ahead. So you need to use that time as effectively as possible. And finally, when it comes to speaking, you need to know how to speak, how long to speak for each of the 3 parts. But if you don't know that, if you don't know what you need to do, well, it may reduce your band score. Okay, so make sure you learn how to manage your time in each part so you can get the highest band score possible. And that's what IELTS is all about. Okay, you want to do the test 1 time and get the highest score possible. So how can you improve your time management? Well, here are some things I recommend. The first thing you should be doing is doing practice tests under timed conditions. So do the listening test with no breaks. Do the 3 reading passages in 1 hour. Do the writing test in 1 hour and do both 2 tasks. Even do the speaking test. Do all of the skills under timed conditions so you can practice doing things quickly and finishing things in time. You need to have a strategy. Okay, so for each part, you need to know how much time to spend on each section or on each part. If you don't, well, you're going to go into the test and you're going to have to guess what to do. And like I always tell you guys at home and my students, you don't have much time. Okay, so you got to be quick. That goes to the next point. Work quickly. Okay, just take, for example, writing. You need to write quickly, but at the same time, you need to produce high quality work. Okay, because if you do things slowly, you're not going to finish. On the other hand, if you do things quickly, but you make a lot of mistakes, well, that's obviously going to be an issue as well. Now, last thing I want to say is that good enough is good enough. For most of you watching this video, you're probably trying to get a band 7, maybe a little bit higher, maybe even a little bit less. Well, to get a band 7, you don't need to be perfect. You can still make mistakes. Take, for example, reading and listening. You can still get 10 or 9 questions wrong, and you can still get a band 7. Okay, so good enough is good enough. Don't try to be perfect. It is not necessary, and you're just going to cause yourself a lot of extra stress. Let's move on to the last tip now, which is not having a test strategy, just doing practice. Now, a lot of people think that just doing more and more and more practice will increase my band score. Well, unfortunately, just repeating tests again and again and again doesn't generally help, because if you keep doing the same things the same way again and again and again, why would your score increase? Why would you get better if you're just doing the same things again and again? Well, you need to learn certain things and methods and techniques. So here are some things that you can focus on. The first thing is learn with a structured system. You need to have a system which teaches you every single part of the test and how to score high. Because if you don't know how to score high in every single part, well, you're not going to get the highest score possible. Have a step-by-step method, okay? So take writing an essay, for example. You need to know how to write your introduction. And going even deeper, you need to know the steps for an introduction. Then you go on to your body paragraphs. You need to know the steps. What's your first sentence? What's your second sentence? Having a system like this, having a method like this, is going to make the real test so easy, because you're going to go in there and you're going to know what to write. You won't even have to think about it. Do what you learn, okay? Don't just watch a video. Don't just read something on the internet. You need to actually do it. So if you're learning how to write about, I don't know, how to write body paragraphs in writing task 2, don't just watch a video. Don't just read an example. You actually have to do it. And also, after you do it, you need to get some feedback, because you need to know what you're doing well and what you're doing not so well and what you need to improve on. And that ties in very nicely with my last point, thinking about your weaknesses and improving on them. This is really important. So take, for example, or just pretend you want to get a band 7 in writing, and all of your skills are at band 7 apart from your grammar. Well, if you just keep doing the IELTS test again and again, you're not going to get past that 6.5, okay? You really need to think about your weaknesses, because they're the things that are going to help you to improve your score. Now, if you do want to learn all of this, you can start learning right now, today, from your home. Just go to the description below and check out our IELTS Band 7 Plus preparation course. Because in our course, we teach you exactly what to focus on to get a high band score. Now, let me tell you one last tip. As an IELTS examiner myself, I can tell you it doesn't matter how smart someone is or what their job is. It's all about, did they do what they needed to do to get a band or to get a certain band score? So if you want to see how one of our students got a band 7 for speaking, check out this video right here. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next lesson.